Jill, we were on with Jesse Allen last week. He talked a lot about collagen and NRF2. Maybe share just something that struck you in that call a couple of weeks ago that you appreciated.
I knew he was going to ask this question, Sandy. So, all right. So he was talking a lot about the integrity of the company and why they did collagen. And, the story be told, guys, I thought collagen was the stupidest thing ever. And I was kind of angry, but he really went through why they picked the collagen and why they picked this peptides and all the strategies that the company went around and explaining what they did, because I was the first one that had to eat crow, because here I'm selling all this collagen and I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. This is not a dumb product. Okay. Not a dumb product. It's an amazing product and it's going to bring us to the next level for sure. But Jesse went through some amazing things about all the studies that they went. And if you read the study now I understand the study is mind-blowing. And I recommend everybody print out, I have mine over here somewhere. Sorry, guys. Print out the study and read the conclusion with a highlighter, because when you do that, you learn so much. But when he told us to, really take a look at what this product can do with the combination, because it's kind of hard to explain, right? But cellular self-care is really what the product does. I mean, I don't know about you. Even though I have a diagnosis, I've never been happier. Okay. I'm great. I'm doing amazing. And I want everyone to know that I can't shut up about this product, and because it's that good. And Jesse just hammered it home about all the strategies they used and why they did this and why they did that. So I say thank you to them. Thank you. Truly, thank you.
It's awesome. Yeah, he did. He shared a lot of insight, background stuff. Sandy, what are some of your thoughts on maybe some of the things he shared?
Yeah, I ended up taking a few notes here, so I'm going to read off a few of my notes. So when they did that collagen NRF2 study, they looked at the entire genome, and they collected 15,000 data points on it. He talked about 7 core systems of the body that when they are balanced, they ward off disease and increase optimal health, vitality, and lifespan. Okay, so the 7 systems are the digestive system, the energy and mitochondria, elimination and detox, hormones, musculoskeletal, circulatory and lymphatic, immune and inflammatory response. And with the NRF2 and the collagen, when they're taken together, have a direct impact on the immune and the inflammatory systems, and then an indirect impact on the cardiovascular and lymphatic system. And that is by impacting the structural tissues. So he said, if you can look at the 7 systems, you can see which of our product lines address which system. So I thought that was really, really powerful. And then he also, the other thing that I thought was really great is he talked about the 5 things that all the products have to do when they're, in the early idea phase, and the boxes that they have to check off to make it any further. And the first one was the nutrigenomic impact, and does it activate and impact the body's natural genomic makeup? And then the next one is it scientifically validated? Is it demonstrable, and can it be seen or proven in studies? Is it taken daily? So does it support our subscription model? And then this was my favorite. He said, is it delightful? Does it give the consumer a great experience?
Yeah. I remember the first time he said that the product was going to be delightful. And I was like, what? Like, come again? And the reception, how this product has been received by the field has been delightful. So they nailed that. I was really glad that you guys did get to hear a lot of the backstory. And I knew Jesse was very involved in the process of getting collagen here for a lot of the reasons Sandy just mentioned. Bottom line is this, guys, you don't get patents because you've got a good product. Right. You've got to have a substantial product in order for the patent to be processed. And so if we could make claims as an industry, there would be massive claims able to be made because of what we know this product does. To stay safe, we can't make those claims. But what I will tell you guys is take the products faithfully and then tell as many people, and you won't need the claims. You'll have real world stories right in front of you that you can share. That's the best way to do this. So awesome, guys. Thank you for that. Now let's talk a little bit about some tips. And I love these two ladies that are here to be able to share this with you because to my knowledge, once they hit diamond, they've stayed diamond. They've never gone back. And if they have, maybe it's a little bit. So they know what they're talking about. They've got systems in place. So Jill, if you could you talk about like what's the one thing that you think you do besides work? I know you work, but what's the one thing that you think contributes to a lot of your success? We know you're driven. We know you have a reason and a need, but what do you think helps you the most?
Keeping the funnel full and keeping consistent. I mean, consistent on social media, consistent wherever you go, always finding opportunities to talk to people. You can't keep your mouth quiet. You cannot, because you'll talk to 100 people and maybe 10 will talk to you and maybe 1 will buy, but keeping that funnel full. People are starting to trust me. I don't know why they're trusting me. Who am I? I'm nobody special, right? But because of the consistency and branding myself of what I'm doing on social media, I have 3 or 4 people come to me today. I need to talk to you. I need to get started. I'm not doing anything, just putting it out there. But at the same time, you can't post and pray. You know, we always say, oh, I posted it. This doesn't work. Can't do that. Posting and praying means nothing. And I'll give you a little tip of what I told Holly earlier. Well, Holly mentioned it. I do post a lot of stories. Stories is where you have to sell, but a lot of people don't see stories necessarily. But the people that do, you need to go back to them, and it's work. Sometimes 150 people will look at your stories. Oh, well, get to work. And you need to go to work and think, all right, is that person on the product? Go to those people, click on there and say, hey, thanks so much for looking at my story. Figure out something to ask them. You know, just say, you know, is there, I don't know, make it up. I can't even give an example. Like I might say, did you notice that if you spend $150 this month, you get the free product? Find something to say to them or ask a question back. Are you ready to get started, or what's your holdup? You know, that's the salesy part of it, but you've got to ask questions. You know what? And you might feel like, oh God, I'm wasting my time. I don't do it all the time. I don't have a lot of time. You know, I'm doing my best. But if I have time and I see somebody who's been watching me, I always scroll to see who's looking. And if I see someone, I say, oh, I got to talk to her. And it's a form of follow-up. But people don't realize that people are watching the stories. And if you don't reach back out to them, they're not going to reach back out to you. Okay. You got to follow up.
That's awesome. Great tip, guys. So she's physically looking at who watched her story. That's one of the nice things about what Facebook does, is you can see who's watching your stuff. Even your haters, you can see your haters because they're on there, and they're not haters. They're just confused at the moment. They just don't know. They're confused fans is what they really are. And so go find those people that are watching your stuff and engage in conversations. You could even, you know, I like how Jill will customize those messages for each one of those people. But you can even create shortcuts in your keyboard where if it's a generic response, like, hey, thanks for jumping on my story, you could do a shortcut, you know, where you could just put ST for stories, not Sandy Tuggle, ST for stories. And that will create the message in the keyboard. So you don't have to keep typing every time, hey, thanks for jumping in my stories. If you don't know how to do that, we've done trainings on it. Pretty easy to find those. So I appreciate you sharing that, Jill. Sandy, what about you? Give us some insight as to what you think is creating some of the success for you as a seller.
Well, I think one of the biggest things for me is being consistent with events. Events have been so good for our team, and just kind of getting the offering information to people and having the posture of here's the information, what you do with it is up to you. But we want to share it with you. And we have a really nice, awesome team dynamic. We enjoy spending time together. So that kind of shows with our events. I think we make them fun. And we just want to just share the information. But I think it's the most effective and efficient way for us to get the information out there. The other thing that I really try and be intentional about is to make it about them and not make it about me. I think that's super, super important.
How do you do that? How would you say, how can you make it about them and not about you?
Well, I will honestly think of somebody when I read something. Okay. If something triggers a memory of this person's dealing with this or whatever, I'll reach out to them and say, this made me think of you and this might benefit you, and not ramble on. I think one thing with my retail background, a lot of things we would always train our sales staff would be to just ask a lot of questions so you can be more qualified to give suggestions. And people are totally going to tune out if you just start rattling off like everything you know about product information or whatever it may be. People, like, they don't want to hear it. They want to know what's relevant to their situation and what might be helpful to their life or whatever it is that they're dealing with. So, well, I think, mastering product knowledge and sales skills is really important, but you need to be a listener first and ask more questions. And then you'll know when it feels right to kind of pivot it to product. But the more questions you ask, the more they're going to be open to getting the information. And you can, probably solve their problem. Like, Brandon, you're always talking about problem solving, and it's so true. So I do think that is really important. And then subtle language too, with the way you're asking questions. Or I know one thing that really stuck with me at the Castaway event was not saying, can I send you the link? You ask, do you want the link? I mean, it's so simple, but yet it's something that we have to train ourselves to do. So those little subtle things, they do take some intention and some practice, but they make all the difference.
They do make all the difference, don't they? It's crazy how just that little difference, that little, like, I can send you the link, or do you want me to send you the link? Or I'll send you the link. And they're like, okay, sure. And versus, hey, do you want me to send you the link? And them saying yes or no to that, right? It's a massive difference emotionally. It's almost a takeaway without giving them the takeaway, right? Like, until you tell me you want it, I'm not going to give it to you, versus, just send it to you. And they'll never open it. It's a big difference. And I love that you guys are doing events. The chat, Holly's saying that, Sandy, you are the queen of events, and you've taught your team to do the same thing. So I have seen some of those pictures. I was like, dang, I wish I was out in Michigan on a Monday night. That'd be pretty good. Looked at some of the snacks and things that were going on there. And Jill mentioned something about being salesy. I get it. No one wants to be salesy. However, what both of these ladies have is extreme sales skills. And here's why that's important. All of us, I'm not going to say you, all of us need to have the skill of selling. Because if you don't learn how to sell, you will always take orders from someone who does. If you can't sell, it means you can never own a business, because I can promise you a business owner has to sell. If they don't sell, they go out of business. Okay. And so that means if you're not going to be a business owner because you don't want to sell, it means you're going to be an employee for the rest of your life. And that doesn't work out for most people. It just doesn't. So getting sales skills is something I think all of us need to do. We need to always be upping our games, finding those little twists, psychological words or phrases or things that we can say or do that will help us transfer belief, not be salesy, right? There's a big difference between transferring belief, like Jill said, she's got people coming to her. She is transferring belief through her consistency. And she does put a lot of posts out that are very educational. So people are like, dang, this chick's like, she knows her stuff, right? She got her stuff together. So good stuff there. Let's talk about how you guys close the month out. We got 3 days left to the month. So what are some of the things you guys are doing? Jill, we'll start with you. What are some of the things you are doing to get the month going or month close? I'm sorry.
So depending on the month, some of, sorry, hold on. Cleansing and healing, guys. All right. There are times when I don't do any promotions. Sometimes I just don't have any more game left. Okay. But there's times I put heavy promotions out. I did a promotion this month with my team. I'll tell you what it is. If you get 3 in 1, we all know we're getting the free product, right? The company's giving it to us. If you do 6 in 2, I'm giving you a month of collagen.
Wow.
One person did it. Okay.
Wow.
Now, we're almost finished with the month. I'm almost where my goal is going to be. But as a diamond seller, people don't realize this. As a diamond seller, your commission is $50 per glow stack per person per month. That's a lot of money, especially when you have 100 customers. Okay, that's a lot of money. So if I have to close the gap, I might put it out there that I'll give you 20 bucks. Okay, so if I have to give, you have to put in your head how much I'm willing to lose. Okay, if your budget's $100, your budget's $500, I might give away an Axio. Okay, I think I did that last month, and every month I try to change it up. Right? I know my team likes money. Sometimes they like product, but they like
Sherry likes money. I got a feeling Sherry likes money.
Like I say, I'll give free products. They're like, oh, okay. Gift cards? Oh, they all want the Amazon gift card. So, my team, sometimes I'll promote, I might give back $20 to a consumer, but I might, if I need to rile up listen, we all do it. If my team, I said, all right, if someone gets 500 PV, you got $100 gift card. Okay. Sometimes I do that. Again, it all depends on how much money I want to give away.
Yeah, that's awesome. There are a lot of people right now. In fact, Ray Higdon has done a lot of marketing courses and taught a lot of marketing stuff. And there are a lot of people, including Ray, that are willing to actually pay more for a customer than they will earn to get the customer. In other words, let's say he's selling a course for $100. Ray, in some cases, is willing to spend more than $100 to acquire the customer.
Wow.
Even though he's only going to earn $100, right? But he knows if I get the customer, then there is a value in longevity there. At some point down the road, they order another course. Well, that other course might be 50 bucks. So they spent 100, gave 100 away, but then now they've ordered 50. So they spent 100 and now they're basically up 50, right? Because they got the 100 back plus the 50. You guys are following the math. And so in Jill's case, she may give collagen away at some point, but I'm sure with Jill, she'll be getting like referrals and a bunch of other things there. So don't be afraid to give away some commissions or even beyond the commission in order to get some customers if we do that the right way. I've done that as well. So that's a great tip. Sandy, what about you? What are some of the things you're doing at the end of the month to close the month?
Sure. I really dig into my back office on the 25th and after. I dig deep into it to try and figure out who on my team might be close to like a seller title or rank advancing, MVP, 3 in 1. Really kind of trying to identify those people and reach out and see if they are like looking to maybe strategize to try and hit it, and then talk about maybe incentivizing maybe prospects or other team members, like Jill was talking about. I really, for me, just the way my mind works, I have to really understand the compensation plan, which I feel like I've got my head really wrapped around. So I can strategize with people to say, this is what you need to get to this, and this is what it would get you. And I think it's really important when you are kind of leading a team to understand those things so you can help people, get to their goals. And then if everybody gets to their goals, we all get to our goals. And
what does that look like? Like if they're just a few bucks short of, let's say, going to Emerald, do you kind of break it down for them? Like, hey, listen, this is as an Onyx what you're going to earn. But
Yes.
if you get $100, is that how you do it?
Exactly. I'll say this will be the difference, and it might, going from like sapphire to diamond. I mean, that's a $200 difference. I've got a couple consultants right now that are like they're less than 100 SV away. It's like if even if you have to get a family member to buy something, you're going to get it back double and you're going to get a new seller title. So just kind of laying it out of, if you can either get a new customer or, what I always just from my retail background too, think about like our entire product line. Who can you reach out that's your existing customer to talk about a product maybe they haven't tried? And that's kind of a fun way to incentivize people too. Say, hey, if you're looking to try, what are you looking to try that you haven't tried yet? Let's like see what we can do to maybe give you a little bit of a rebate or something to try a new product. So I think just encouraging people to expand what they're already using or taking, I think has a lot of value too, because a lot of people just don't think about some of the other products or they're not promoting them. So that's always worth having a conversation about.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the chat. You guys, if you got some questions for these ladies, would love for you guys to put it in the chat. I'll start paying attention to it here. And ask them some questions that maybe, been kind of holding you back from getting to Onyx, or, maybe you've been kind of plateaued at a certain level. So Lucia says she's got a question. So Lucia, do you want to ask it or do you want to type it? She might be typing it, so I don't know.
I mean, Brandon, I can just share that somebody put in the chat, I don't know who it was. The promos I give, those are tax write-offs. So you keep a list of the promos with the dates, make your own little receipt. Those are promos that are write-offable. I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you that's what I do.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, Lucia, go ahead. Unmute your line, put your camera on from Australia, you guys. Welcome,
Hello.
Lucia. There she
hello,
is.
Hello. My question is for Sandy, and I love about what you've mentioned with problem solving and asking questions to see where they're at. So are you using a collagen? Is it powder? Blah, 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 and so on. How do you what I'm struggling with is I'm doing that via messenger and voice messages with my cold market. And sometimes it goes dead or they're not answering the questions. How do you overcome that? Or what's your tip around that?
Oh, I think that's probably one of the hardest questions out there. And Jill might have some great information too, but I will sometimes give it a little time and then come back with another question or ask them if they would be open to checking this out and comparing it to what they're already doing. And I think it kind of depends on what's been happening in the conversation, but just kind of, go back and maybe ask another question and see if you think of something that would be really relevant and ask them if they're open to taking a look at that.
Sandy, how much time do you leave? Like if they're not responding, Lucia puts a voice message out or something and they're not responding. What's a timetable? I know everyone might be a little different, but and how do you track that? Like what's your timetable and then how do you track it?
That's one thing I can definitely get a little bit better at and is maybe consistency with that. If it's a weekend, sometimes although people do seem to respond better on the weekend, sometimes if it's a Sunday, I'll say, I'll catch up maybe Monday afternoon or something. I mean, I'll give it a couple of days, and it depends on how frequent the conversation's been. If we've been having a lot of back and forth, I'll probably respond sooner. If it's kind of a real cold type thing, then I usually give it a little bit more time. But that's a code I have not personally cracked. So you might get better information on that from Jill.
Jill, what are you doing?
I don't know about that. I'm 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. But when it comes to follow-up, I stink. Everyone's like, how can you stink at follow-up? I do. I'm horrible. And when I'm sitting here on the scroll hold, which I am as guilty as anybody, I'll say, oh, I haven't followed up with her. I use my, I'm sorry, guys. I use reminders in my phone. Follow up with this person. I put it right in my calendar. And if I don't do it, I move it to the next day. I got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of lists of people to follow up on. I'm terrible at follow-up, but that's okay because I got big funnels to go back to someday. I just haven't, I'm embarrassed to say that I've got books down here, Brandon, for my other network marketing company that I haven't even touched yet. And eventually I'll go back to them, but I got a funny story. some of the peoples I went back to, my new distributors that we just consultants we just signed up, they got them as a customer.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And
There's a
it's
question
cool
here.
favorite.
Jackie asked, Lucia, does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, one thing that I've heard a response to that before too is if it's a couple days to a week, coming back into the chat and just re-asking a question like, hey, I know life gets busy. Did you find a solution to your collagen question, or did you find a solution to whatever health issue? Because that kind of like, it's not like, hey, why'd you ghost me? It's like, hey, I know life gets crazy and busy. I just wanted to make sure you found a solution. And that approach, many times, it will get people to respond. And if they don't respond to that, they're just kind of jerks and move on.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Someone asked in the chat, how do you keep your funnel full? Jackie wants to know, how do you keep your funnel full? Look at what's that, Jill?
This is all, I just found this. Look at this contact sheet, all these names and phone numbers and all their health issues. I have no idea who these people are, but I'm going to be, now that I just found it, I'm going to say, hey, Joan, I just came across your phone number. My notes say blah, 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 blah. Did you ever find a solution to this problem? And start, I can't even tell you what year it's from. I have no idea. No clue.
Okay,
but again,
Jill, I've
that's
got a tip for you, Jill, and everybody listening. Okay, I had to do this myself because I've got paper everywhere. Like it's
Me
everywhere.
too.
I've got paper. I got paper everywhere. Like it's everywhere, right? Pay someone to put those names in digital format for you and get it off paper so that it's there. Like literally, you can pay someone $20 an hour, and within 4 or 5 hours, they will have it all organized and you won't lose them. Just a little tip.
We've all tried all
that's
different
deductible.
ways, right? We've tried the cards, we've tried the notebooks, I've tried digital too. The list is the only thing that works for me, and I still don't do it.
Well, if they do it, if they will organize it digitally, and I'm not just talking just to you, Jill, they'll organize it digitally. You can then print that bad boy out, and you've got the paper, right? And now it's all in one spot. And anyway, so great question. Let's see if there's any other questions in the chat. Lots of nuggets. Yes, yes, yes. Any other questions for these ladies while they are here? Thank you guys so much for being on here. We'll keep an eye on the chat for a second here. We will continue to do this every month. We will have a couple diamonds on sharing tips. Jessica, oh, she's just commenting there, right? Okay, Lucia, what's your question for both of us? Either one of you take this. What's your number one tip for connecting with people in a group?
You have to find a connection. You have to find something that, sorry, you have to be able to figure out a way what you're talking about. Like could be a group about knitting, and it could be a group about cancer. It depends on what the situation is. A lot of these groups don't like you to take it offline. You know that you get thrown out. I'm in jail in groups every day, but they block me every day, but then they let you come back in. So you just have to find a common denominator. Everything is different, right? There's no one answer, right? Sandy, what do you have to say?
I think sometimes I will see somebody that I genuinely get the urge to reach out to because I really truly do think that there's something valuable that could help them in their situation. And I might have something that I can relate to. I try and go in a lot of groups that I can maybe have some things in common with these people because I might have a personal experience that might kind of open the door to have a conversation with them.
Awesome.
Same thing.
Katie is saying, if I understand this right, best answer you have for potential customers who have one-word answers. So the way I'm kind of reading that, Sandy and Jill, am I reading this right? Like you're in a conversation and they're just kind of like responding with like one word, like you're asking like a question and they're just giving you a one-word response. Is that Katie, is that the question? Like they're not giving you very much, I guess. I think
Yes.
okay, good. Thank you for
Yes.
confirming that. So, Jill or Sandy, any response? Like if you're kind of like they're just giving you one word responses here.
You got to
any
use
tip?
what's the guy's name? The British guy. I forgot his name.
Fraser.
Fraser. What does Fraser say? Give him a GIF. That's it. like you got to give him get funny, because some people will talk and some won't. I noticed the same thing too. They're like, yes, no, or just not answer. And I'll just say, hey, I noticed you're not even answering me. Should I not be contacting you? Take it away from them, because sometimes people, they're weird. They're weird. And sometimes I'll just say, hey, listen, if you don't want me to contact you, just let me know. I'm good. But they don't answer anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So comedy, using comedy a little bit, break the ice. That works.
Yep.
That reminds me of that Ray Higdon video with the stick figures.
Right.
That one is, I think that I always remind myself of that video when I'm in that situation. So I agree with the takeaway.
Or don't beat yourself up because they're just not your people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that just.
Yeah. So one other question here. Tips for staying consistent when super tied up with a job, on a job. So like, do you use a timer, do you use a calendar? So I'm thinking Sabrina's asking here.
I'm going to
you're
answer
on a
that
job,
one.
and how do you stay consistent?
Make sure you have shortcuts in your phone. I worked 3 years full-time job, and my team will tell you, you were on the other end of the potty. I was in the potty with the shortcuts, sending messages. So you just do it. Just do it.
Yep.
Because I didn't know I was going to lose my job. I didn't know. And when I lost my job, this is it. And I'm making 3 times what I was making then. So just do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm still in a job right now too, and have a 9-year-old and a little hobby farm, and like going a million different directions. And I'm literally parked at the grocery store texting somebody or doing a voice text or whatever. And I'm always kind of trying to incorporate this business into my life because I am passionate about it. So even my office at work, people come in, I've got collagen sitting there. I've sold collagen, right? Like, what's that? You just try and spark the conversation wherever you are. I take it to trade shows with me when I'm doing my other job. You kind of make it a part of you, and then you're always kind of filling it in the little spaces that you can. And if you want it bad enough, you can make it work.
Yeah. I specifically remember when Lynette and I were in the thick of it building, we had babies in diapers. So they were like, it was the mommy train, like literally wherever Lynette went, the train went, and she would just lock herself in the bathroom sometimes. She would just lock herself in the bathroom, and I'd be like, I'd see it like once the kids were at the door, like, I like, oh, Lynette's in there working. Let me grab some kids. So sometimes you just got to grab those moments. A lot of people do use the car. The car is a great place. It's quiet. The car is a great place to do this business, not while you're driving. Okay. Don't do that. Don't drive and do the business, but, definitely. So, there's a hand up. Eric, you got a question?
Here we go. Yep.
Oh, a little feedback.
There, technical difficulties there. That's what happens when 2 people are sitting in the same room watching the Zoom. Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate all the information. I was wondering, do you use or whoever use a list of, when you say find out the problem, to be able to suggest, a collagen or whatever? Is there like a master list? Or, I've been watching some really good videos on boards with all the different products, and they mention this and this and this. Do you use that? Like, oh, somebody mentioned like this issue. How do you know to direct which third-party tool to them? That's my question.
Thanks, Eric.
Or is that just so basic? I feel.
No. I think I know.
Whatever. I'm asking it. I asked it.
I think I know the answer.
This is what I do.
Now I lost all sound.
Okay, all right. Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jill. Go ahead. It's being
All right.
recorded.
So, I use all the products. I need all the products. I can afford all the products. Everyone can't afford all these products. It's just not possible. I sat down on a boat in Croatia with Dr. Nancy and I said, you need to help me. I was the #1 Vitality Stack seller, right? I'm not even on the board anymore because I said, I was like #1 for a year. I'm like not even top 20 anymore. Why? Because now people are buying the closed stack. But I said to her, what do we tell people they need? Because like they can't afford everything. We are the activation company. NRF, Protandim Tri-Synergizer are the activators, right? In a perfect world, I use that. I apologize. But she said the #1 product is the Protandim NRF2, by far #1. And I said, well, what about the other two? She says they need the collagen second. Okay. And again, if someone says, again, to keep it compliant, but if someone says they have RA, I try to put them to Tri-Synergizer. But everything else basically is the glow stack. And I said, well, what about our probiotic? And they said, well, and she said, actually, the third most important is the daily wellness, which blew me away. I'm like, seriously? She's, yeah, because it's all about our immune system. So keep that in mind. Okay. And again, if someone can afford it, Tri-Synergizer and collagen are the most powerful 4 products we have by far. But again, that's $300 versus $200, right? So that's what I do. But if somebody is really on a budget, good old NRF2 and ProBio is what we used to say, because they used to be, in my mind, the most two important. So I really don't have a chart. I just have an education of my own education. That's all.
Yeah, Eric, Sandy, maybe you can speak to this a little bit. I don't know, but Sandy talked about on this call the different systems in the body. And you may want to go back and listen to this call again, because we have products for those systems. And so wherever the issue is coming from, what system it's coming from, that would be the product you would want to grab and use. But I will tell you, NRF2 is the gateway that opens the door for all the other products to do the amazing work. So you always start with NRF2. And a little tip for all of you guys, you will rarely get someone say they can't afford NRF2. Rarely get that. And, I, as lovingly as can, when I do get that, ask them, hey, has your health insurance gone up the last couple of years? And how much has it gone up? And it's usually way more than NRF2, right? And so it's just a way to get the conversation started that, you guys know the saying, ounce of prevention, right? Type thing. So Eric, does that help? Sandy, do you have a response to that question?
Typically what I'll do is start asking more questions to what supplements might they already be taking. If they're already taking a probiotic or an omega or whatever, say, if you can finish up what you have of that and switch over to ours, then we can get them in a bundle. So it is like, stack prices, bundle prices are going to save some money. And that is probably one of the hardest things. And like a lot of us on the team, and I will go back and forth and saying, this person is dealing with this, and what would be A, B, and C, best options. And of course, the more products they're taking, the more health benefits they're going to have. So we always try and at least say this would be ideal, but if we need to cut it back a little bit, these would be the priorities. So to really try and I don't ever want to overwhelm anybody and say, well, this does this and this does this and this does this. I'll say, this is what I would recommend as the best. And if we need to cut it back a little bit, this would be the priority. So like best and priority is kind of how I present it.
Yeah. And I love that. Eric, I would also tell people too, like, this is a non-negotiable, and it's usually NRF2. Like, this is it. And then from there, take some of Sandy's advice, and I always say, hey, but listen, do you have some specific health goals? Like, are you trying to improve your sleep? Do you need more energy, brain fog? Like, what specifically are you trying to improve? and that might open the door too. Last question, we'll go to Taylor. She's got a question basically saying, if someone's got a skin issue going on, she's talked about maybe dark circles under the eyes, and there may be self-conscious about that. You wouldn't obviously say, hey, I see that dark circles on your eyes, I've got something for you. That would be very bad. But like, I'm sure you ladies have seen people and thought immediately about some of our products. So how do you go about very tactfully telling people about our products without saying, hey, you're a bag of wrinkles and I've got something for you?
Oh, that's me all day long. I'm on the pickleball court and I'm like, oh, hail. Typically what I do, I see them limping or they're like, and like, and I asked them, what's going on? Oh, I feel so tired. I'm like, oh, wow. And my new strategy is going to be, I'm going to start bringing an Axio in a gallon to give everyone samples. I'm going to start doing that this week. And I just chit chat. While we're sitting for a game, it's called Open Play. And I'm looking at these legs and I'm thinking to myself, and what I kind of do is I go, I don't say anything about their legs. I'll say, I got to show you how mine worked. What happened to my legs? And they're like, wow, that's incredible. Just show them your results or show them the results. Or if there's, someone said, oh, they got a pain in their shoulder. I said, I got something that will help. But there are people that are like, no, I'm not into natural, I'm not open. I'm like, okay. So I leave it alone. So you got to use situations because there's been a lot of cases where I'm like, oh boy, like when I went to my high school reunion, there's a lot of people that need a lot of help. But I gave them information. I did get a couple orders, but we'll see what happens. That's it. And I know they will convert to consultants, but it'll take time.
Any thoughts, Sandy, on how do you?
A lot of the same. And, again, just asking questions like what is it that you're dealing with? Like, even if it's obvious, just getting them to kind of open up a little bit. And maybe there's some things that I can relate with them. I mean, I went for years throwing supplements at symptoms and like constantly disappointed, spending thousands, and kind of figure out if that's kind of where they're at. And if it's something that if we can kind of get across the idea of we have something that can literally get to the root cause of like most illnesses, then like this little light bulb will go off and they'll, be like, oh, okay, well, maybe it would fix like all these different things that were going on. So just kind of getting across that little bridge to the difference between activating and supplementing and what it could possibly mean for them.
Yeah, and I would ask permission to show them some pictures. Like I would say, hey, this is what's going on the inside of the body. This is, maybe tell a story like, hey, my friend is having this. Would you like me to show you or share some pictures of what's going on the outside of the body? Yep. And most people want pictures. Most people want to see the pictures. And then in there, you could, show enough pictures of whether it's legs, arms, neck, whatever, that they'll get the point. They'll get the point.
And another simple way is just to say, so what collagen are you drinking?
Yep.
And someone will tell you, and I'll say, or do you drink collagen? I did that one. This is a sad story, but the couple that were complaining about how they felt like they were 100 and they're only 70. I said, are you guys drinking collagen? And go, no, we don't drink collagen. Oh, okay. I said, I have some in the car. Do you want me to give you a sample? I'd love to share it with you because it's great stuff. No, we're good. Thanks. All right. So I dropped it. I went to go play the next court and the guy got up and he fainted. Real true story. I'm like, oh my God, they took him to the hospital. I go, guys, I take it now. You need sugar. So you know what? Some people just don't want to hear you and some are listening. So just take it, meet them where they're at.
I'll tell you guys a final story as we end this thing. Some of you know my son had his second shoulder surgery a week ago. This one was more invasive. They actually did a bone graft. They cut part of his collarbone off and reattached it to his shoulder so that the shoulder stops popping out of joint. And we're going through with my personal doctor because he's 18 now. So he's not, a kid's doctor, a pediatric. He's going to a regular doctor. And so he's going to see my doctor, who I love to death. He's an anti-aging doc. And we were talking about the surgery and he was like, Trey, are you doing this? Are you doing this? And then he said, are you taking collagen? And he said that to an 18-year-old. And this doctor is top notch, guys. Like, I can see any doctor in Florida. Price is not a problem. This guy's good. He does blood work all the time. And I was like, I looked at my son, and my son's been taking our collagen because he's all into health and fitness and stuff. And so, but it was just validation again. My doctor doesn't know that we've got a collagen. So it was really cool to know that he is taking a collagen. It is a huge part of repair if you're injured. And if you're older than 30 years old, aging has injured us, and we should all be taking it. So an incredible product. So thank you, ladies, for being on here tonight. I think by watching the chat, it's been phenomenal. People are loving it. We are going to do this on a monthly basis. So make sure you guys jump into the TBC. All of you that are in here, jump into the TBC. I'd love for you guys to put some posts in the TBC tonight or tomorrow. Do it tonight, and just type your one takeaway. Just type your one takeaway in the TBC tonight. This is what I heard. Give a shout out to one of the ladies that gave you the tip. And let's create some energy and a little FOMO to the people who weren't on here tonight. And then they're going to be like, can I get the recording? Can I get the recording? And then we'll like let them hang for a little bit and till they beg for the recording. Maybe, I don't know. You guys have a great night. Thank you all guys for being on here. And we will do this again. Let's have a great close to the month, you guys. Good night.
Thank you.